goals. What can I do to reach that number each and every day, so that way you're consistently doing it. And then really, it was just kind of like hitting the ground running. I just used the steps to success pretty much as my guide, and I knew that that was always my goal. And I always think it's important to, have your chart out in front of you and look and be focused on where, I place to promote. So I think, when you're looking at those kind of things, if I have that vision, I know where I'm going to be placing, it happens. And so went diamond in 4 months, double diamond in 7, and then double promoted to presidential 1 day shy of my year anniversary. And then this past March, 20 months in, we went ambassador.
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
A little bit. So some things that you kind of touched base on is, so how often do you post throughout the day?
I post at least 3 to 5 times a day on Facebook. On Instagram, I try and post more frequently. So like every 2 hours is kind of my thing. I think when you're first building your Instagram following, it's important to make sure that you're posting more frequently. Just for the sole fact that, like, the way that the algorithm works, you've got one shot on Instagram. On Facebook, people go and like your stuff and it pops back up, but really, like, it's like a one shot on Instagram. So if you're kind of posting consistently and people see that, they're more apt to follow you back or engage with you, because they're like, who's that person that keeps posting? I keep seeing all your stuff post. And so I always say, as you're building that following, post more frequently, especially like on Instagram. So that's what I've done since day one, and I haven't never not done that. Now I probably post, sometimes I post more frequently.
Well, I think especially through promotions, we just got done with so many great promotions last week. And I think people need to realize we post more, because obviously if me and Erin, both, social media is huge for both of us, and we do post often and more often. Like, Ashley is my newest distributor, and she asked me, she's like, okay, well, what's the benefit of you guys posting as much as you do post? And so do you feel like I post usually give or take 6 to 10 times throughout the day, depending on what I'm posting about, and sometimes it's a little bit less than that.
It kind of really just depends on like what the day's going. So I always start my morning with a motivational quote. Like, I post that to Instagram and to my Facebook. And I started doing that since day one. And I can't tell you how many times I get messages from people that may not even be customers yet or distributors, and they thank me for having those posts every day. They're like, I go to your page every morning because I know you're going to have what I need to hear that day. So that's something that I always do. And then I think, like, when you're starting to kind of get the hang of like what should your posting look like, kind of create like a little schedule. So when I was working full time, I'd post a motivational quote or post in the morning, and then like mid-morning to lunchtime, I would post like a before and after. And then in the evening when I was getting off work, because other people are getting off work, around 4 or 5, they're going to be checking their phones. So save like a good lifestyle post. Like if you're talking about the business, something that's going to be talking about your team. And then in the evening time, most people are on social media then too. So like your 2 big posts should really be towards the evening. But if you're not noticing that, tweak up your posts, because I think everybody has like a different market. So like, some people don't get a lot of hits when they post in the mornings. Other people do. Like, I'm a morning person, so I see a lot of stuff in the mornings. It kind of just depends on what you and your followers have.
I love that. So you are also, not only does she do social media, I should rephrase that. You are big on social media, but how often are you doing wrap parties, and what do you do to get wrap parties?
So I really don't host that many wrap parties. I always have a launch party for my team.
Okay.
So if they're not local, we do a Facebook online party. If they are local, then we get their launch party set up within 2 to 3 weeks. But I think, I shouldn't say a big party, because I always think of party like 5 or 6 people, but then, it's really like, when you go and have those one-on-one wrap appointments, that's considered kind of like a party. Like, you're going to like present the product. So, count those as your like little victories or your little parties too, because it's not, you don't have to have this big elaborate thing. So I think it's kind of just catered on that. But I do most of my business pretty much mainly through social media.
Which I love, that's how I am too. And so I keep on referring to Ashley because she's one of my newest distributors that's on. Mm-hmm. So sorry, Ashley. But she also asked me, she's like, how often do you do social media and before you enrolled? But I think people need to realize that not only am I doing social media, we also talk about the business wherever we're out and about. That might not mean that we strictly go out. At least I guess I can speak for myself. I don't go out for a blitzing day and blitz. I incorporate this business into my life. So anytime I go out, I talk about the business, and I kind of feel like you're the same way. Right?
Yeah, I think there's so much pressure on people and feeling that like, oh my God, I got to go out and have this whole like day of blitzing. And then, cause I mean, I remember, when Kyle was first like kind of getting into the business, you know, cause he wasn't necessarily like the most supportive when we first got started, but you know, he was like, well, just asking for little things that he could do. And so I had read, you know, somebody had challenged their husband and said, you can't come home until you've handed out, you know, X amount of blitz cards. And I mean, he walked the Katie Mills Mall 4 times, which is like 4 miles, you know, and didn't hand out a single card because he felt that pressure, you know. So I think it's like taking that pressure off and just thinking of it as conversations. Like you can just bring it up into people in just that conversation and that, you know, meet and greet kind of thing. So like if I'm at Target and I see a mom with like really, you know, cute shoes or the baby's cute or whatever, I'll tell them that, you know, and so we'll start having that conversation. And I always have my shirt on. So I always have something that says it works. And oftentimes that is what, like, you know, I've given them one compliment and then they go ahead and ask me about that. So, you know, don't put so much pressure on yourself and feeling like you have to go and like, oh my God, I got to go blitz and I've got to hand out 50 cards, you know, just start incorporating into your life, just like Dana said.
I love that. I just lost my other question, which I probably usually do. I've told you some things. What did I tell you in our messages? Oh, well, we went over the consistency. What do you tell your team if they've kind of had a slower month, a harder month, what to start fresh with this month?
So I really don't even bring up slow months, anything like that. I mean, I think you really shouldn't, like, don't be so comparing on your enrollments. It really should be focused on how many seeds are you planting, you know. And so that's what I always tell my team is don't focus. Like some people come to me and they'll say, you know what, I'm going to enroll 10 distributors this month. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but you need to break it down into the daily goals. Like how many people is that going to take that you have to plant seeds with every single day? Because, you know, if you don't, let's say you sign 7, but then you can think about all those seeds that you planted each and every day, because you don't want to be defeated. So I always break it down into smaller daily goals. You know, what are you going to be doing that's going to help you build your business consistently? And the rest is going to happen when you put in that work over time.
Sure, I love that. So obviously when you joined, you were working full-time. Kyle was working full-time, and you had sweet little Finn. How did you kind of fit that into your working full-time? How did you work the business in? Because I have a few team members on here that work full-time.
So I think the biggest thing is, you know, just incorporating the business into your life, but, you know, do things for your business, what's going to work for you and your schedule. A lot of times if I had like, let's say a potential call with like a potential distributor or something like that, I wouldn't say, you know, hey, yeah, you can call me anytime tonight, I'm available. I say, you know, okay, let's go ahead and set up a time that we're going to talk, and this is our appointment, because my time is precious too. You know, I've got to make sure like Kyle can cover the bath, and we're communicating that kind of thing. So that was a big thing. Like I never missed a bath, maybe once or twice, but like bath time was Finn and I's time. So, you know, I always try to cater my calls around that. And you have to let people know, like, I think my team is so much more respectful of that, and the people that you bring on are respectful of your time, because you've set kind of that standard, and you're like, hey, you know what, my time's, you should respect my time. When you join this business, people should respect your time. It's not like you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs waiting for people to call all day. You know, you've got other stuff. So setting those deadlines and setting those appointments, I think really, really helped. And then I make a 6 list. I am a huge lover of a list. I love to cross things off. It literally makes me so happy. So I have like a 6 list, and I think it kind of ever so evolves. So when you're first getting started, my 6 list may have looked like, getting comfortable with posting. So on my list, it may have said, post 3 to 5 times a day, make a motivational quote, reach out to, 15 people, and then, read one chapter or, something of personal development, just like little things. But once you get used to those in your schedule, he always says that. Once you get used to those things in your schedule, then your 6 list is going to evolve. You're going to be adding different things because, posting 3 to 5 times a day doesn't need to be on my 6 list because it's ingrained.
I need to go back. If you guys don't know what a 6 list is, just FYI, that's like your to-do list.
Yes.
The night before. So you know what you're doing the next day and setting a schedule up. Just so everyone's like, what on earth is a 6 list? That's what it is. Write down 6 things that you're doing the next day, however that looks to you. We both like to make lists and then cross it off, like Erin said. So that's a 6 list. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
No, you're good. I'll send you a post too, because there's one that I really love from our team page that kind of explains it and how's like this thing. But like for me, if I can set what my goals are early in the morning and I can do those things, and it's like, boom, this is, I can cross those things off, and then I'm just following up and messaging throughout the day. So let people know that your time's, precious too, and you're not just sitting there waiting all day for them to call either.
Oh, that doesn't happen?
No. Mm-mm. I'm like, we're setting up this time for you to call me.
Okay. With that, since you are huge on social media, when someone likes your post or comments, what are some things that you message them? Or if someone just likes a post, what do you do?
I'll message them and say, I'll just say, hey girl, thanks so much for the love of my post. Are you interested? And I just keep it short and sweet, and I end it with that question. And I get a lot of feedback, and it may just be like, oh, I'm just loving on your post. And a lot of people are like, well, what is it for? And so, I always like that at the end of the day, I'll go through my likes, because on my Instagram, I don't keep like my before and afters or anything. Like I will delete them the next day, but I'll go through my likes, and then I'll go ahead and reach out to people. You may have some that interact on your page frequently and they still don't message. So I'm not like a huge fan of Instagram messaging, because sometimes it's there and then it disappears and all kinds of crazy stuff. But, now
that you told me that, a few of my direct messages disappeared the other day. That had never happened until you told me that.
No, it always happens.
Well, they're gone.
And then they'll pop up like in a few days. It's crazy. But I never take anybody off like my hundreds list or anything like that either. People that you may have talked to like initially, and then, they stop responding. I always keep following up with them, or even somebody, let's say on Instagram or Facebook, they keep liking my stuff and it's been, a couple weeks since I've reached back out to them. I'll say, you know what? Hey girl, I'm still noticing that you're, liking a lot of my posts. Is there do you have any particular goals in mind that you want to address? Those little things. So if people keep liking your stuff, keep messaging them, because they're just kind of watching you a little bit more to get more info.
I love that. Oh, please. How often do you follow up with people?
I have kind of like a two for two rule kind of thing. I follow up. I'll talk to an initial potential, and then I'll follow up 2 days later, and then for sure within 2 weeks, and then for sure again in 2 months. I've been following up a lot more frequently, but it also depends. Like, go based on the vibes that you're getting from people, because sometimes you're going to feel vibes like you can follow up weekly, and that you can check in, especially since you've been building that relationship and you've been engaging with them. You're gonna be like, hey girl, like I saw, I have one girl that we've been messaging back and forth, and her son broke his collarbone, so I just simply messaged her. I had just talked to her last Friday and it just happened. So I went ahead and messaged her again today, just letting her know I'm thinking of her. So pay attention to what your potentials are posting. If somebody's not responding, like after the third time, I'll message them and say, hey, I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't offend you in any way. And I just leave it at that. A lot of times people feel bad because they're like, oh my God, no, I just didn't, I read your message and forgot to respond. And that gets another response. Today I actually sent out a message and it said, hello, it's me. I was wondering, and then I put the little karaoke, and then I said, I'm just kidding, I'll stop singing. But in all seriousness, because that's my personality. Like, I love Adele, and so I'll voice message people that I know are close potentials and that I've kind of gotten to know. I'll kind of sing in that, but they love it. They're like, oh my God, that was hilarious, and then they're more likely to respond. So, change it up, throw some humor in there. Go based on your personality, because I think that that's the biggest thing. Like, you're going to hear and see so many examples and templates, but if they're not you, they're not you, And
I think that's another big thing to go off of too. I mean, we have templates in our team page, or if you start to follow Erin tonight, which, mind you, we're both at our friend limit, so just hit the follow button. Everything's public. You can still comment anyway. Where was I going with that? Oh, but she might post something that's really good. Switch it up to make it fit your personality. Because your friends will notice, well, Dana doesn't talk like that. That's not her. Or however that might look. Fix whatever you might, because everyone has great posts. If you follow Erin, Alyssa, Tiffany, they're all really, that's her upline right there. They're boss babes. They all have great posts, but you've got to remember your friends are following you and your personality. And so if you're mimicking everything that Erin says and does, it might steer people away in too, if that makes sense. Because they'll be watching you and then all of a sudden, okay, well, who is this talking? Because this isn't Ashley, this isn't Elizabeth talking. I feel like now she's being fake and not being sincere in her posts. Does that make sense to everyone? So make sure that you're you. And especially with storylines, I know me and Erin both post our stories a lot. If you're taking something, you are more than welcome to post whatever I post. Or I'm sure Erin's the same way, whatever we post. But make sure with our stories, you edit those. Because obviously you're not ambassador. You didn't earn 300,000, whatever, blah, blah, millions of dollars in bonuses at this point. Almost $500,000. In bonuses, by the way.
That's close.
Just go diamond. That's another couple. Anyway, but make sure you go through people's stories that they post about, because obviously Erin gets that credit for working that hard and receiving those bonuses. It's not fair for you to just post that, especially when someone's like, oh, she joined 2 weeks ago and now she's already earned $300,000 in bonuses. Like, how did that happen? So just being sincere. If you're taking someone's posts, watch what it says and read through it. I think that's huge too.
Yeah. Well, and I think, one of the things I was laughing, one of my diamonds, she was saying, I say babe a lot. I will say that in my messages. And she started saying, like, she was saying babe like a few times, and her husband was like, Jessica, like, you don't talk like that. And she's like, you know what, you're right. Like, she's like, I guess I've just been like talking with you too much, or whatever. So just be yourself, because people can feel those vibes. And I always say, like, it's important. And I always say, learn to tell your story 100 different ways. And even if you're just getting started, you've got a story, you can talk about, what your past is, this is what you're doing about it, and this is where you're going, So those kind of posts, when you're talking about your story, it can be like dream board stuff, or, what you plan on the future, because this business is going to take you there. So it doesn't have to be like, I made $1 million overnight and that's the only way that you can share your story. No, like, everybody has a story and has that opportunity. So, just be yourself and talk about what your goals and your dreams are.
Well, I think especially the more authentic and the more real and the more you are, people are more drawn to that.
Oh, yeah.
People see that, oh, all of a sudden she's a triple diamond and she's making all this money, or she's an ambassador and making all this money. You have a story too, where, you were working full time. Kyle was working. You had a brand new baby. People see those types of things and they can relate to that. And I think another awesome thing that you do is you simply share because no one can ever fathom earning all the bonuses that you earn, or being an ambassador diamond and a triple diamond and now ruby. Yeah. That's a lot in 1 month, which, by the way, I forgot to tell you guys, she is in the top 45 income earners. I didn't mention that. She does get credit for that.
Yay.
So, but with that, I think showing people, and you do this amazing on social media. I know you just posted you went to the grocery store the other day, that It Works pays for your groceries. And I think that is more relatable to people than her saying, I'm an ambassador diamond earning a lot more than average ambassador diamond does. But I think that more people relate to that. Because for me, I still can't fathom saying, this is what my paycheck is. Still, every time I get a paycheck, I'm like, is this real? Hurry, go into my bank. Like, did it deposit? Obviously it did because I spent it. But I think Erin's very good with that and showing the small things that It Works pays for, because more people can relate that's doable. That's why the $500 bonus is so big. But along with that, Ruby is a huge, amazing goal. But I want you guys to all think, especially going diamond this month, what an extra $1,900 would do for each of you guys each month, on top of that, a $5,000 bonus. I know when I went diamond, that allowed me to quit my insurance agency at my dad's office, and I haven't looked back in 3 years now. What did going diamond do for you, Erin?
I think it just, it was all crazy and it happened and I was very determined, but it kind of just made me step back and say, whoa, I can really do this and I can be successful. And, I saw these posts and I remember watching the Dash that year, because I had just joined at the end, and Dash that year was in September, and I was like, oh my God, that's so awesome. They're doing the Too Good. And I was like, I wonder what it's going to take to even get there, and I think, going diamond, it just creates that belief in yourself and know that you can do it and you are worth it. I think that's like the biggest thing for me. And, even for Kyle and I, that was kind of a turning point where he finally was like, okay, this really does work. Like I'm slapping him with paychecks and finally he's coming around, so I think that's just an eye opener where he was like, if she's doing this, I can help her and we can, double our efforts and it's going to make it that much better.
I love that. So now you've gone from working full time to now you literally are a stay-at-home family.
Yeah.
I do have some moms on here that say, well, I'm just at home all the time. How do I apply that into my life? So kind of talk about how now It Works is even more a part of your life, and say if you're home all day, what do you do? How do you work your business if you're home all day?
So I think the big thing is setting kind of a schedule for yourself and setting goals. Like just as if when I was working, I still make my 6 list. I still have a to-do list. And then I think sometimes people too are like, well, I don't go on adventures and I don't do all these things. Well, I don't get ready and get showered every day, but I take a lot of pictures on the days that we do. And so I can share those each and every day because we can go to the park and I can take 20 pictures of Finn and I can post one, every few days, and I can say,
change his wardrobe.
Change your wardrobe when you do selfies, those things. But I can share that part of our adventure and say, we're so blessed to be able to do this because of this business. And people aren't, they're not like, oh my God, she was, in that angle and on the same day. They're not ever going to know those kind of things. So, I think it's super important to create a schedule for yourself, especially when you're at home, because sometimes it can be easy just to and then you get distracted and you've got 20 million things that you should have done and you didn't. So, create that to-do list and create those same things, just like, if and when you were working full time.
I love that. Me and Erin could talk all day. Well, we do, but we could talk forever. And I know it's being late for you guys on the East Coast. What is one thing or a couple of things that you wish you knew when you first started, or you would change?
I really wouldn't change anything. I think, I think it's just, believe in yourself and know that you can do it. And setting goals for yourself every single day. Know that sometimes people are going to come in this business and they may not work it as hard as you are, but it's never your job to sit there and motivate and push them to achieve the goals that you have set for them. Your job as a leader, and even if you have, one distributor, you're still a leader. Your job as a leader is to inspire and not to motivate. You inspire your team by leading by example. So working on your steps to success. I think that that's probably the biggest thing that has helped me, and setting up a game plan. I know for the longest time I was really scared to look at the ambassador chart because I wasn't sure how far away I was. And so January, I met with Alyssa for coffee, and I was like, okay, I just need to look at this. And we did it, and I think it was 84 lives away. And it was crazy, but it was like once I set my mind on this is where I'm building, this is where my focus is, people started coming into my business and, coming into our path. And it was like God was placing them all right there for us. So you just have to remember, you have to have a game plan. You have to know where you're going. And that's the only way you're going to get there is if you have that focus.
So once again, she had 84 people in January, 84 lives to change. And she did that by March. Right? Ambassador in March?
Not just all me, but my
team. I know, but you went ambassador in March, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So 84 people, you guys, if you look at your chart, anything and everything is doable. I've looked at my presidential chart several times, and I've changed my presidential chart. Your chart doesn't have to look that same, and sometimes it's like, oh, this person's running. It can change, and it can evolve to be total different things. I mean, when I was double diamond, okay, this person was going to be my triple for sure. And now it's like, oh, she's not even in the business anymore. However that looks, just be willing to adapt to however your chart does look and just run with it. I know me and Erin are the same in this way. You run with your runners and always still show up for anyone who is on your team, whether they're slowly walking or they're not even there, but still show up for them as a friend and as a leader. I know a lot of my girls that aren't necessarily in this business still, I'm still friends with on Facebook. They still come around or they message me. Sometimes they message me. They're like, okay, I'm ready to do this. I'm in. And all of a sudden take off and they have gone Ruby or they've gone Emerald before. And so I think always stay in contact with those team members, but run with your runners. I think is my biggest thing. Don't pull. Mm-hmm. Don't pull. I know I'm this way is I want it so bad for everyone because I know what this business can do for people. So I'm like, yes, you have to do it. Just run. You don't see the vision of it because I've been in the business for 3.5 years and I've seen what it has done personally for me and so many other people. Mm-hmm. That I want it for every single person that I talk to. And I think that's also another thing, and I know Erin's the same way, is that we do change lives so much that we want to share it with every single person. And that we literally do talk to everyone about it because, like I always say, who are you to rip off that person from not telling them about this opportunity? However that may be when you're out hanging out on the beach or at dinner, simply share with them, hey, you know what? You're amazing. Let's be friends on Facebook. Then send them a message a few days later, however that looks. And the biggest thing is if they tell you no, the good news is you don't die. I don't know of one person that has died from being told no about the crazy wrap thing. And a lot of those people that told me no when I first started are either a part of my team or are loyal customers or support me 100%. Ashley is one of them. She's my girl. She actually started renting out my spa 3 months ago. How long ago, Ashley? 3 months ago?
I think so.
And I messaged her and I said, would you be interested? She's like, no, I'm good. I'll support you, not in this. And then sure enough, a week ago, she messaged me. She's like, okay, I'm in and I'm ready to do this. But the whole time I respected her answer. I didn't ask her about it again until she came to me. And those people do watch you as long as you stay positive on Facebook. I'm a positive person, and so that's just how I am. And Erin's that way too. We always use that we're a hot mess with really big hearts. We're both hot messes. The blonde hot messes. Does anyone have any questions for Erin? This is your time to talk to her, Laura. I'm calling you out, my dear. Do you have any questions for her? Ashley, Melissa, Elizabeth, anyone have any questions for her?
Can you hear me?
You put me on the spot, so like everything just went out of my brain.
Well, you think about it. Crystal, do you have something? Ashley?
I think she was going to say something.
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. So my question is, I've asked Dana this before, but I'm curious, Erin, what you think. Do you care? I don't know how to say this very eloquently. Do you care what people think about how many times you post every day or what you post every day? Do you feel like you're bugging people? Do you feel like half my friends are going to befriend me or unfriend me or unfollow me because I'm posting so much? How do you feel about that?
You just kind of have to brush it off. I mean, they don't, like, the biggest thing for me was, I had some of my closest friends and even people that were bridesmaids in my wedding, and they may have unfollowed me, but they're still the ones that are complaining about not being able to, afford to do things. Or, so I'm like, it doesn't bother me one bit because they don't pay my bills and they don't have, they're like, we have certain goals for our family and what we want to do, and the freedom of my time is so much more important than what other people think because I posted one or two more times than they think is appropriate. So I just kind of brushed off and I'm like, whatever, like, because you just never know who could be needing your post. Somebody might get mad, but somebody else could be, that mom that's, praying for something to come into their life, and your post is just exactly what it is. So don't do them an injustice by not posting.
Awesome. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That was awesome.
I'm getting confused, like who's talking, because it'll like take a second, and then I'm like,
okay. Sorry.
So if I look like this all the time, that's why.
You're just doing a dance. Juanita,
Yeah.
Do you have any questions? No? Anyone else have any questions for her?
When it comes, I do, sorry.
No, you're good.
When it comes to building your team, you said that you place to promote.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously that's kind of what I'm working on right now, but like, how do you decide? Like, I always make my team's goals my goals,
Mm-hmm.
but I've had plenty of people that are like, yeah, I want to go Ruby. Obviously that's the ultimate goal, and then I help them. And by helping them, I did it, like doing it for them, they just are like, oh, well, she'll do it for me. Like, how do you overcome that? Because I've had a lot of people like become like at a standstill because they assume I'm going to do it for them.
So I think the biggest thing, before I start to build somebody, I always have a discussion about matching. So I never will fill somebody's like official Ruby chart for them. Like, I will place 2 on their top line and then start that executive, but leaving 2 spots open is typically what I'll do. Does that make sense on the Ruby chart? 2 on the top and then 1 on that line.
I'm just visualizing in my head.
But the thing is, I'm always like, I kind of pay attention for leaders. Some people may not be mass distributors enrollers, but they may be signing lots of loyal customers. I have one of my girls that, went diamond. She doesn't mass enroll, but she signed a lot of loyal customers, and she took over the leadership part for me. And so that was a big thing. So, finding people that can match your efforts in that way is okay too. But I always have a business agreement discussion before I even start that process and saying, you know what, I'm looking to build this position and I think that you would be amazing at it, but I need to know that you're going to match my efforts. And if you don't, then I have to move on to the next person that is, working. And a lot of times that's kind of like the kick in the butt that they need. And I mean, I've had a few people that it doesn't work out and I have to work with somebody else, and that's where you can work. Let's say that other person that you're working with in their downline, that second level, they start being a rock star, then you work with them, so it kind of just depends on what you need. And I mean, for me, after I hit double diamond, I didn't necessarily know who I wanted to be my next leg for my triple. I was kind of just like, I just didn't have that gut feeling, about who my leader could be. And so for a little bit, I placed on my top line. And then within a week of each other, I signed 2 rock stars. And that's what took me to double promote to presidential. And they became accountability partners and they pushed each other. So, but I had that discussion in advance because finally I was like, I feel like these 2 will actually match what I'm doing. I can tell that leadership. I can see because they're just like what I did. I told them to post and they did it. I told them to do these things. They did those things that I was talking about. So I think that those are a lot of the big qualities to look for.
Well, I think that's huge to go off of. We tell you guys to do something. We've been in the business for a while. We know why we're telling you to do that because it works. So a lot of my new distributors are always like, well, why do I post this much? Or how do I post? And I just say, I've been in this business. I know it works. Just follow my lead. I've done the hit and miss of, for the first year of my business, I did not think the steps to success was all I had to do. I was bound and determined that this has to be harder than it really is. Mm-hmm. And then soon as I realized, no, really just do the steps to success, which is 4 loyal customers and 3 distributors, and see how many times I can do it with quality people a month. I'm about quality, not quantity. And so filling out the steps to success, honestly, is how you can get all the way to the top. I have taught to people that are ambassadors that enroll 30 distributors a month, and I've taught to ambassadors that only sign 2 people a month. So it's not all about how many people you enroll a month, but as long as you're doing the steps to success, you will get there.
And we did it twice last month.
Woo-hoo!
Who was that?
That's Laura. She's our sideline.
Oh, hi.
She's under Sarah Rankin, that lady. And so she has a mad crush on Erin, so she gets it. We all do. And so, but with that, I think if you guys don't have any other questions for Erin, last question that I'm going to ask you is, these girls have 30 more days to go diamond. Mm-hmm. What do you suggest that they do? At least every day.
I think kind of just the same thing that we talked about, but look at your chart.
It's a diamond.
I see. It's cute. That's cute.
After going diamond in, we'll say 45 days because you enrolled last week. So
okay.
So I think the biggest thing is look at the chart, see what you need, and then start envisioning who those people are going to be with. And so if you already have, those 2 top line people, then start working with them. Get people on Zooms this week, get them with a game plan. I know, like, as a leader sometimes, especially when we've been in for a while, it's so easy to assume that people know what to do when they first get started, or, they'll just know to go, it's really working with people to get that game plan. So, work with all those people that will be in the promoting boxes. And then just, work your business consistently every single day. So that's going to be posting. If you like to host wrap parties, get those scheduled, call your friends and family and just say, hey, like, I'm going for a huge promotion. It would be a huge favor to me if you could host a party for me. I'll bring everything. You don't have to worry about that. And then, I like to, for posting kind of things, like if you've got like a mom or your husband or, somebody, ask them if they'll let you tag them in your posts, because that's just another network that you can be reaching out to. I think, maximize as many people that you can reach out to in this time and just have that game plan in advance.
Well, along with that, if you guys want to do a simple giveaway of whatever, it might be a body wrap or a product, or even if it's a basket from the dollar store of fun stuff, whatever, do a small giveaway for anyone that will let you tag them in their It Works posts. Because right there, you're opening up their network, all of their friends list, everything like that. So tomorrow you can say, hey, I'm going for a huge promotion this month. $5,000 is on the line. Do a cuter post than that. But do a giveaway post and asking for people, if you're okay me tagging you in a post this month, comment below and you'll be entered, or however that looks.
Yeah.
it's huge opening your network to so many more people.
Well, and the nice thing too is, you know, if you have somebody, let's say they post, their friends are interacting on your page, that becomes an opportunity where you can talk to that person and say, you know what, look, you're making me a lot of money by signing these people up, but we could actually get you signed up first. And then, you know, that shows them that they already have potentials. So it's kind of doing that legwork in advance. So, you know, I would definitely make sure you have your charts printed out, make sure you're visualizing it, make sure you know who's going where, and you know where you're planning to place.
And you guys can find all the charts. I have them in the team files. They're in the files tab in the team page. I have from executive all the way up to, I think I did presidential in that chart, in that file. But to print them off and visualize it. And one thing I do love that Erin told me this week is about praying for your team and handing it over to them. And so we'll finish with that. And so do you just want to talk about that for a quick minute?
Yeah, so actually last week, one of my girls, she just actually went diamond yesterday. We were talking and she said, you know, she was really stressed about hitting diamond. And, you know, she was like, I have so many potentials. And she joined this group at church. And she went out to lunch with one of the girls, and the girls said, you know, Kayla, like, you have to stop worrying about, like, what's, you know, all this plan and what you want in your life. You just have to give it up to God and know that He has the perfect plan laid out for you. And so she's like, I finally, like, this peace came over, and her friend had told her something about, you know, you can't break diamonds, or it sounded way better than that, but you can't break diamonds. And she was like, oh my God, this is perfect. Like, so she just started praying, and she literally signed up, I think, 8 or 9 distributors in that first week of the BOGO, you know, and more than charted, pretty much is almost charted for double diamond now, and hit diamond yesterday. So, you know, just having, like, you've got to put in the work, but also don't stress and know that God has a perfect plan for you. And if you just pray about it and people come into your lives, like I was praying, and I was like, you know what, I need one more loyal customer for my Substance Success. And I prayed about it, and I wrote it in my prayer journal, and I woke up to an email from a random person that had signed up as a loyal customer overnight. And so that was just, you know, the power of it is just.
That's awesome.
And this happened just this week, you guys, and think of her being where she's at. And she seriously sent me a text that next morning. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I got a loyal customer. So that doesn't mean, it doesn't matter if you've been in the business a day, 2 years, if you're ambassador Black Diamond, getting that loyal customer is still a big deal. Every time I sign someone, I'm like, oh my gosh, I signed one. I can sign another one. Let's do this. Yeah. Let's get this done. And I just thought it was so cute because she literally texted me. It was probably like 7:30 in the morning. She's like, oh my gosh, it happened. I got this loyal customer. And she told that story, and literally that she did pray about it the night before and saying, we have the true advantage of changing lives in this business, whether it might be physically, financially, family. I mean, this business and company does have it all. And so definitely focus on that. And so I love that.
Dream board. I need a car.
Yeah. There you go. So you guys have 30 days. Dream it, believe it. You guys all know I'm a huge person in affirmations. Create your affirmation for the month. If you guys don't know what affirmations are, it's the positive things that you are putting out into the universe. You get back in tenfold. There is a big power behind the number 3. So say in multiples of 3 times a day. And so I believe in you guys. You guys are all diamonds in my eyes. You guys that are actually Black diamonds in my eyes. And so go for it. Take it on. And Erin, thank you for spending the evening with us tonight.
Thank you.
I love you guys all.
Thank you.
I will talk to you guys soon.
Thank you. Awesome. Good night, guys.